Wait a minute, am I in a book club now? Welcome back to Bizarre Podcast, Dogs Must Die. My name is Grant, you can call him Chip, and we are still not watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
We're still in Rohan land for just a tiny bit more, because this time...
Rohan land has a bit of a French flavor this week.
Ooh, yeah. So, yeah, well, we already finished the 4 adapted anime episodes of the Spoke Kishibe Rohan. We have, like, within the same realm as that series, we have the one-off story Rohan at the Louvre, made by commission for the Louvre.
And I got a book in my lap. I paid money for this show, patreon.com/ChipandIronicus. But
it's a nice book.
It's a good book. I am enjoying having this handsome hardback on my shelf.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit about how this came to be before we get right into it. Like you said, it was commissioned by the Louvre in 2009. Or for a 2009 exhibition called The Louvre Invites the Comics.
Yep.
I'm sure the name sounds much more impressive in the original French. But
yeah.
the idea here was that 5 cartoonists, 5 comic artists were invited and commissioned to produce original works that were set in and around and about the Louvre Museum. Mm-hmm. It was Araki, who, is the reason we're here today, and 4 French language cartoonists, some French, some Belgian, but all in the French language space.
Yeah.
They all exhibited some number of pages from their works in progress. Araki had 3 pages for his part. It's the wraparound cover and the 2 pages right at the beginning where Rohan is introducing himself to the reader.
Okay, yeah. I'm very curious because like this book itself also lists the other comics that were made for this, and I am very curious what those stories are like because
right? Yeah.
Like I just want to know how people like the Louvre felt when it's like make a story in and about and around the Louvre, and Araki goes, okay, lots of people are gonna die in the Louvre, including Louvre employees. Fictionalized, of course, but still.
I'm curious. Like, if I track these down, I'd be very interested, because just like looking up these other 4 guys and examples of their work, it's incredible. Like they picked some heavy hitters to for this exhibition. The book was completed and published in its entirety beginning in 2010. Where the story seems to be set, it might be like 2011 or so. If you like do a lot of math with numbers that show up in the background.
Yeah.
Which means that this was being written in parallel with like latter portions of Part 7.
Yep. And I guess it makes sense that Araki got chosen for this just because French people like manga. They like anime a lot, it turns out.
If anything, I'm surprised there's only one,
Yeah, yeah.
And also no one working in English or Italian or, there's some incredible Spanish language cartoonists from both Spain and Latin America.
Yeah. I mean, just jumping into the book here, I really like the very first page, just that full page illustration of Rohan. I don't know what he's doing.
He is hanging out inside the glass pyramid at the Louvre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get down from there.
Just standing on tension wires and posing.
Get down. And I know it's the stars, outside, but they're positioned in a way where it looks like Rohan could just be sparkling in the pyramid.
He's a sparkly boy. He's a sparkly boy.
He climbed up there, posed on tension wires, and sparkled.
So immediately after that are, the 2-page spread that, like I say, was part of the exhibition. These pages were hung on the walls of the Louvre. And Rohan is just introducing himself, the meaning of the characters in his name. And like we get a demonstration of Heaven's Door a little bit.
Yep.
And then he just asks everybody if we've ever seen the blackest black can be.
Yeah. On just a pure black page with a small black square in it being highlighted just by like an aura of light around it.
And to answer that question, he has to tell us a story that happened to him that began 10 years ago when he was but a 17-year-old boy.
Yep. And he says, hey, just as a warning, the story I'm about to tell you, over the course of it, 4 people disappeared. A Japanese woman, a translator who's a translator into French, and 2 firemen, and an official from the Far East section of the Louvre's Asian Arts Department. But yeah, when Rohan was just 17, his maternal grandmother, owned an inn in Moriocho.
She basically ran it as a boarding house with incredibly strict rules, so it was always empty.
Yeah, it wasn't allowed. You couldn't smoke. You couldn't have an animal, which, like, those first 2, okay, sure, fine.
You couldn't use a hairdryer.
No hair dryers. You could not cook. You could not play any sort of instrument or mahjong, and you couldn't bring any furniture, and no motorcycles. Yeah, a lot of stuff based on sound, I guess, but still no fucking cooking?
So 17-year-old Rohan likes hanging out at this very old-fashioned, very traditional-looking Japanese building with lots of empty space and solace.
Yep.
Just hanging out with grandma as he works on a draft for a young mangaka competition. He's trying to break into the industry by entering into like talent scout competition. He's doing spec work. Rohan. Yep. Rohan, come on.
Rohan. He's only 17.
Although, I mean, I don't know the terms of this competition. Maybe he still like retains ownership at the end. I would hope so.
Yeah. But yeah, even back when Rohan was 17, you see him arriving. Gotta say, his fashion has not changed much since his late teens. Same hair. He's still wearing that zigzaggy green hairband thing. But yeah, as he's arriving back at the inn, he hears his grandmother welcoming a new tenant, and it's this beautiful woman.
It's this beautiful young woman, Nanase Fujikara, a young divorcee. Ooh. And Rohan is immediately struck by her. He is enamored as they pass by one another, and wouldn't you know it, Grandma's so old-fashioned she doesn't label the bathrooms men and women.
Yes, they're based on like old Japanese haircuts instead. So
Rohan accidentally peeps on this lady getting undressed for the bath.
Yeah, as Mario said back in our recap episode for part 4, Rohan at the Louvre is probably the horniest JoJo's ever gotten.
And like, it's still really reserved.
Yes. Now it's just like, well, this woman was just in her underwear and you saw a bit of a butt. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, she's on his mind. He overhears her name from Grandma telling him like, hey, don't mess with that lady.
Yeah.
And so he's doodling in his sketchpad working on this, and like, I had this weird moment where Rohan is drawing birds, and I'm like, damn, he's really good at drawing some birds. Those look just like the real birds in the sky. Wait a minute, that's a drawing of a bird. What the fuck? Everything's drawings in this. It's a drawing.
Yeah, he's just outside drawing these birds flying about. I just want to mention that this book is in color, and I really like the color palettes in this.
Yeah. Like there is a clear like this flashback story 17-year-old times is all in like earth tones and shit. Like
yeah, everything there's just a slight earthy tone, like yellow tone to a lot of stuff.
It's actual sepia.
Yeah.
in flashback times.
Yeah. But as Rohan is drawing these birds, he looks back up at them. And on the roof of the inn, there's a whole bunch of drying racks there to dry clothes that you've washed. And Nanase is up there and glistening with the hottest amount of sweat a woman could have on her. And Rohan is stricken by this, especially her neck.
So he is like using her as a figure, as like a figure drawing study to try to get that graceful curvature of a neck and arched back, and begins just furiously drawing. And she's like, hey, Hey, what's that? You a manga artist? Huh? What? Can I see? And he doesn't want her to see. He really doesn't want her to see.
Yeah. And like you can see when she's like grabbing his sketch pad and some of the pages are flipping around that he's already been drawing Heaven's Door.
As a weird little scamp, like the Heaven's Door design in his head is evolving at this age, which I think is fun.
Yeah. So yeah, Rohan is like embarrassed and kind of flummoxed that she's peeking at his drawings. And he doesn't even want to admit that he's drawing like stuff for manga, maybe. It's fun to see a younger Rohan because he's not quite as much of a dick yet, and he actually gets flustered by other people.
Young Rohan is a completely different character, but then once we get back to the present and see 27-year-old Rohan, he's immediately recognizable.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, he admits that like, yeah, I'm trying to be a mangaka and I'm trying to practice drawing hot babes because my teacher says that I don't draw anybody sexy.
Yeah, it's that
milkman used to be an editor.
It's Rohan has a problem of just not being interested in drawing hot babes at all. He just wants to draw weird shit.
Quote, the dude's a real pig. According to him, a manga has to be full of, subquote, babes with big tits for it to sell.
It's the milkman. It's gotta be.
He burned out after doing, a weekly book for years and years while also teaching students. and now he's living the good life as a milkman.
And he torments Rohan every day for not taking his advice.
So eventually Rohan like bows to social pressure and is like, okay, you can see my pages later. And some period of time later, it's later. So Nanase like, hey, I want to see them pages. You promised. Let's go. Yeah, and I love how Rohan has this like pause at the door to her room, like he's clearly never been in a girl's room before.
Yes.
And the way he peeks in like, that's a clothes hanger. That's a lamp. I guess girls have lamps.
Yeah. It's like a full page of him just pausing, looking at this girl's room. And she has to urge him even more, just like, it's okay, I'm not going to bite, just sit down. And then he finally comes in, like a little, like a skittish cat or something. And she's asking him, what are you afraid? Because even after she invites him, Rohan actually goes, you know what, I'm just going to leave. Okay, bye. See you tomorrow instead. And she grabs him by the wrist and goes like, why are you so scared? I'm not even going to criticize your work. I don't know. I don't have the eye. I just want to look at your cool drawings. I like the energy you put into them, dude.
So they talk a little bit and she immediately asks, hey, have you heard about the evil opposite to the Mona Lisa?
Yeah.
Did you know that there is a most evil painting ever? It's also at the Louvre.
Yeah. I like the word bubble where she's bringing up like, hey, have you heard about the darkest painting in the world? And there's another bubble where she's like, oh, it's the most harmful, most terrible ... And then the rest of the word bubble is just full of black scritches and scribbles. Yes. I do enjoy the little pictograms that occasionally appear in word bubbles. Like on these same pages, anytime someone talks about the Mona Lisa, there is a little Mona Lisa in the word bubble. Yep. I think this is maybe the first time it appears, but the same sort of thing happens at a few points throughout the story. Yes, yep. But also when she talks about the opposite of the Mona Lisa, instead the pictogram is the silhouette of the Mona Lisa flipped horizontally. Yeah. The Nega Lisa. Yeah, she's bringing this up saying like that painting does exist. It's at the Louvre. I saw that painting when I was a kid. Landowner in my hometown found it in the back of his barn, and then like it just immediately got snatched up and taken to the Louvre. Yeah, she tells a little bit about its provenance. It was painted by a man named Nizeman Yamamura, who 300 years ago found the darkest black pigment ever discovered by finding it within the trunk of a 1,000-year-old tree, yes, which was illegal to chop down, so he was executed for art crime. Yeah.
And just another note about like the coloring of this book.
Yes.
Like I love the way it comes and goes, and also detail comes and goes with Rohan's particular focus.
Mm-hmm.
Like anytime he's lost in thought or his mind is wandering, he's desaturated, almost completely colorless.
Yeah.
And when he's really focused on his conversation with Nanase here, the backgrounds disappear.
Mm-hmm.
But when she's telling the story of this painting, because like he's at such rapt attention to her talking, everything is in lavish, like the most saturated color we've seen so far in the book.
Yep. Yeah, I really like that large panel when she first starts talking about Nizaimon, because it's just an extremely detailed environment with this guy walking across it, and it looks so good. But yeah, this artist was killed for chopping down this tree, and immediately upon his death, people began to spoke about a curse cast by him, and so they burned all of his art.
Yes.
They were scared of his paintings, but a single one survived.
And when Nanase saw it, she felt, quote, it had been created especially to accomplish one thing in particular. And Rowan's like, oh, is it evil? You mean evil?
And then he's immediately like, I want to see pictures of this. Can I see this painting? I want to see this evil painting.
Teen Rohan is not the Rohan we know, but he's in there. Like, he will become that Rohan very clearly.
Yeah. And the instant he asks that, she's just like, you should go to sleep. Thanks for talking. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Bye.
So their goodbyes get interrupted by her getting a phone call that seems really bad. Someone is asking her to do something she absolutely does not want to do.
Yep.
And as Rohan cracks open the door again to ask if you're like, hey, things okay? She screams at him for being a snoop and throws him out. And she runs away weeping into the night.
Yep. And yeah, as she is running away weeping, she's also still on the phone talking to, whoever is on the other side. It sounds like she's trying to meet up with whoever's on the phone.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then a week passes.
Yeah. Rohan's just like studying, doing his drawings, killing time, but always thinking about that weird night until, ta-da, she's back.
Yeah, Rohan goes up to her room and knocks on the door, just asking if she's there. And the instant the door is opened, she leaps she burrows her face into his chest, like crying.
She tackles him.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah, falling down onto the floor with her on top of him. And this is the only time I think Rohan has held a woman in this type of embrace. Just gotta say,
or any, I guess,
or any, yeah, anyone.
And the strangest thing we've ever seen Rohan do, like he just starts to barely crack open her pages with Heaven's Door and is like, oh, I shouldn't do this. This is an invasion of privacy. That this is not how if I ever find out why she's crying, it ain't going to be like this, and decides against it.
Yep.
That is shocking to see out of Kishibe Rohan.
Yeah. Also, the other thought I had is, didn't he get his stand from getting shot with the arrow in part 4? Shouldn't he not have?
He's absolutely one of, like, not only does the timeline not line up, like this is definitely in 2010-ish, but the dates don't work for him being 20 in 1999.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, he seems to have Heaven's Door inborn, or at least gained one way or another by age 17 instead of age 20 after he bought a house and got shot.
Yeah. But you know what? For this story, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, in Diamond is Unbreakable, Heaven's Door is a sign of proliferation and the havoc that the arrow can bring. Here, it is an element of Rohan and his abilities and his past.
Yeah. So yeah, he closes up the book on her and doesn't read it.
But she's got something to read. She sees some of the new pages, including a character clearly based on her. And she's like, what the fuck? She doesn't take it well.
Yeah.
She takes it so poorly, she brings out a pair of scissors and starts stabbing the pages, slashing them apart.
Yes.
And this panel on top of the one page where her scissors are splitting apart a page with like the character based on her on one side and Pink Dark Boy on the other.
Yep.
Ooh, it's good. It's good.
And yeah, she is very upset over this. begins crying again and apologizes for what she's done, and then she runs out of the room, and this time she disappears for good.
And our flashback story ends with one of the just weirdly profound things in the small moments.
Yes. Yep.
Just the line, I was so absorbed by my work that 10 years went by without me realizing it. And like, God damn it, fuck you.
Yep. I feel that panel as well. Yep. I keep thinking back to 2013 as being a recent time, and then I realize it's almost a decade behind me now, and it's extremely upsetting.
Yeah.
Folks, it's almost been a decade since Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance and The Wonderful 101 came out, and I remember doing Let's Plays and talking about those games with you like it was fucking yesterday, and I hate it. I fucking hate it!
Yeah, but unlike Rohan, I think my professional life is the thing that's I've spent the least amount of time thinking about over the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, that brings us to the nebulously defined present, and wouldn't you know it, Rohan is at his favorite table at the cafe with his high school friends.
Yep.
This is an honorary Thus Spake short, absolutely.
It totally is. As with every single, like, this has to be on purpose, like, deliberate joke now.
Mm-hmm.
With these side stories with Rohan, because Josuke is at the table. Again, he says nothing, and you only see the back of his head.
There's one time where you might see him in profile, but he's totally covered up by a word balloon instead.
Yes.
So Okuyasu says that Rohan reminds him of the Mona Lisa. No one understands why. And so Rohan's like, wait a minute, the Mona Lisa. 10 years ago, I heard about an evil counterpart. He thinks this to himself, doesn't say a word. He just stands up and walks away.
Yeah. By the way, there's a great panel here of Okuyasu asking Rohan, like, can you please just, like, cross your arms in front of you like this so I can take a picture? And Okuyasu basically turns into the Mona Lisa. Like, he gets a really weird face for that one panel and everything. It's really funny. But yeah, Rohan just fucks off, and he goes home, and he's like, I should go to the Louvre. Might as well.
Yeah, he abandons his teacup and gets right on the fucking plane, and then he's in Paris.
Yep. In a hot new outfit, the blues of his everything, like, for a bit now, is this really nice mix of, like, pinks and blues, and the blue of Rohan's outfit is the same color as the sky. And so now he's at the Louvre, and he does a sexy pose in front of it.
Yeah, he's lifting up his unbuttoned shirt, showing off his navel in the middle of the like courtyard of the Louvre, just outside the big glass pyramid.
Yep.
So as he's taking the escalator down to like get in the building, he meets some fans of his, and he tells them all to fuck off because they're dressed like trash.
Yeah, it's he asks them, if you really love manga, you have to respect the Louvre, okay? When you're here to admire masterpieces, you come dressed better than this. Put on a fucking tie.
And then, with just a flick of a brush, does perfect sketches and drip art signatures from 4 feet away.
Yep. They're still all very shocked and, wow, I am choking on something? Hold on a second. I'm choking on the evil painting. It's so evil. Yeah, they're all shocked. They got the same type of autographs that he had done just a few episodes ago. Excuse me. Man, I am really choking here. What's happening? Excuse me. Anyways. Rohan's in the Louvre. He's in the Louvre. Here he comes.
He's in it. He's there. But yeah, this moment is what I was really talking about how like teen and adult Rohan are very, very different characters. Like... And once we're back in the present, it immediately strikes you, right? Because, like...
Yeah.
When he's 17, he's nervous. He's not confident about showing off his work. Again, he cares about privacy. He slouches.
Yeah.
But now, him just, like, turning on his heels, leaving his friends behind, just, like, naming this Japanese painter, and they have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. And then just telling fans to fuck off, but doing the most incredible feat of art they've ever seen. He's back!
That's Rohan, baby. Boy. Yep. So yeah, he's shown up. He's visiting a receptionist at the Louvre, and this woman here is Miss Noguchi. She's a French-Japanese interpreter who will be accompanying him. Yeah, Rohan's like made a direct request to the Louvre, like looking for info on this painting.
And so he has like a professional contact here, and she takes him back to her office to like check the official records. And she finds that this painting that she's never heard of from this artist she's never heard of is held in storage area 213, which she has heard of, and she has to make some very important phone calls.
Yeah. And like when she tries to like expand the file on that artist, it just refuses to open. So it's all very strange. So she makes some calls while Rohan's like in a waiting room.
Her outfit is fun.
Yeah. So at first I thought she was wearing these like yellow-green leggings with like orangey like big circles all over it, but it's the same color as her skin tone, so I think those are just holes cut out in her pants. I'm not sure. It could go either way.
You may be right, but I also like her bun that becomes a ponytail right at the very top of her head.
Yeah, it's kind of cute.
With a tiny bow in front of it.
Yeah. So Rohan has been cleared to go into the storage area.
With conditions.
Yeah, he's only got 5 minutes to look at the painting. A curator from the Department of Asian Arts is going to accompany him and this woman, as well as 2 firemen.
And he's not allowed to have anything in his pockets.
Yeah, no cameras, no phones, no lighters, nothing, no pens. And Rohan's annoyed by this. He feels like he's... this is a ridiculous amount of precautions.
So we've learned 2 things here as well. 1, that this painting was acquired over 20 years ago. And 2... Room 213 was closed off, emptied out, and abandoned 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So somebody intentionally hid this painting in the spooky hole.
Yeah. And so all the other people who are going to be accompanying Rohan have shown up, and they're all just like, this is really sketchy. We don't know what the fuck is going on here, so...
We're so nervous, we're sending 2 giant burly firefighters, at least one of whom is like a veteran of a foreign war.
Yes, yup.
They are identical. I cannot tell these 2 firemen apart.
They're very similar, yeah. So yeah, the storage area that the painting is in is like part of the original building all the way back to the 13th century. This area is so old that all the works were moved out of it because people were afraid of flooding, and it was
because it's underneath the Seine, it's beneath the river where they're going.
Yep.
So this party of 5 walk on through the galleries, take a pair of golf carts through the halls, go down some service elevators. There's a stone spiral staircase. They're descending into hell.
Yeah, it's like 6 pages of travel to really show, and there's not a whole lot of talking during this part. It's just more and more travel into the deepest depths of the Louvre. And it honestly builds a decent amount of tension, I feel, especially once you get down to the spiral staircase and everything is just this featureless brick and concrete. And the spiral staircase looks like it's spiraling a little bit too hard, like it's maybe not actually physically possible for a staircase to spiral this way.
So down at the bottom, they come to a door that is rusted shut, and beyond that door is storage area 213.
Yeah.
And these big burly men just like shove at it, put their shoulders into it, and they open it just a crack, and you can just barely see there is a painting hanging on a rack that is deep, deep black. You can barely make out anything about it, but it is in there.
Yep. And they're trying to figure out if they need like authorization to break the lock and all this stuff. And as these guys are peering into this little crack in the door, they see something, possibly a human, just like a dark, shadowy silhouette dash across the shadows of the room inside. And there's a really good panel where all of these guys just like leap back in shock like a full foot. It's really good.
And then one of the firefighters thinks, oh, it could be a rat. And there's a rat in his speech bubble. It's really cute.
Yeah, it's a really cute little rat. So all these guys are a little freaked out, but they're determined to just smash through the lock in the store. And so they do.
Yeah, they bust the door open, come in with flashlights blazing, and take a look around. It's totally abandoned in here. There's no one around. But now we get to see this painting.
Mm-hmm.
It is all of that deepest, darkest black, and a woman reclining, also painted in. All you are seeing is basic lines that are, I guess, are of a slightly less black.
Mm-hmm.
It's all very Spinal Tap, yes.
Yeah. One of the two firemen goes to pick up this painting, and there's a panel here where he gets very close to the painting, and you just see him kind of take a step back like something has hit him, and then blood spatter goes all over the place, gets on Rohan a tiny bit. There's a bit of ink, like black ink spatter along with that blood as well. And the Agent Arts curator just asks, like, hey, did you hear that sound? You can move the painting so that we can see it. And then the fireman falls down into this man's arms, and his head has been split clean open, and his brains are spilling out.
There's going to be a lot of gore in this story from here on out. This is where it starts, and it goes until the end.
This is not the censored level of gore you see in the anime. This is extremely gory.
So his body, by some mystical force, is flung straight vertical, smashing his already smashed skull against the ceiling, and he's eventually, somehow, pulled through the ceiling, dripping more blood, and more brains, and more black ink.
Yes, and everyone is just freaking... Like, people aren't doing anything because they're just not processing what the fuck just happened to that dude. And as they're all looking at the ceiling where this man got flung up to and then crushed and pushed through, another like dark shadowy silhouette dashes across the wall behind them.
And in the room, there are 4 shadowy silhouettes that then everyone's attention is finally grabbed when they become 4 figures, 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
And now our curator is convinced that there are some devious burglars and we must call the police.
Yes. And then when excellent page turn here, you flip the page and you get a full page illustration of this curator here. Seemingly appeared to have just been run over by a car that went straight up vertical. There's just tire treads on the ground that then go up him, and those parts that have been driven over are crushed.
Yeah, like, it's absurd and it's horrifying the way he is crushed, because, like, everywhere the tire tread passes, he's completely flattened, like, practically paper thin. And where the tire tread isn't, he's fine. And so the edges, especially on his face and chest, are just torn away and distorted, and it's fucking gross.
Yeah, it's a very spooky page turn. And as this man who has just seemingly been run over by a ghost car, like he's pushed up against the wall and he's sliding down it. He gets one final couple of words out and he just says, "Oh, it's you. You were the car accident." And then he gets flung up to the ceiling just like the other guy and like explodes.
So Rohan's trying to figure out what the hell is going on while the 2 surviving companions are just freaking out, also screaming about burglars. They don't know what's what, but he's like, I've seen a lot of ghosts in my day. I got to get to the bottom of this.
Yep. As these 4 figures are now slowly approaching them, the woman, the translator, she turns around and runs for the stairs. And before she can get up them, a whole bunch of people begin descending the spiral staircase, including Rohan's grandma. And
ahead of her is a young boy that she seems to recognize.
Yeah. And now Rohan is pinned in between people, the strange people coming from both sides, and he's basically just looking back and forth like, uh-oh. This all seems very bad.
Our remaining firefighter also recognizes a face of one of the figures that was inside 213 from the war. Which war? I don't know. The war.
As you turn the page, this firefighter gets riddled with bullet holes and then again gets slammed up against the ceiling.
Once Once the action starts really going, there's a lot of printed onomatopoeia around, and I love the very fun translations inside the panel gutters and along page edges.
Yep.
I love to read blorf.
Yeah.
I love a good blorf.
I forgot there is a blorf in here, but yeah, I think what's happening here constitutes a blorf.
And there's some zom, zom, zom. That's the sound of these spooky phantoms approaching.
Yep.
And our classic, like, menacing characters are translated as roo. I'm not sure how to... What vowel that is exact. Ro, maybe?
Yeah. And so, yeah, we're down to just Rohan and the translator now. And Rohan is not sure what to do. He is sweating. He's very worried. But he spots his grandma in this group of people coming down the...
While his translator is reaching out for this child. And as we've seen, touching these phantoms is bad. That's when things go really bad for you.
And Rohan is, like, screaming, hey, don't touch that kid. And then he notices his grandfather is also there, and he's just like, okay, there's absolutely something weird going on, because like he doubts seeing his grandma there for a second. He's just like, she died a year ago. I know she died. And he's like, okay, yeah, grandpa died 12 years ago and he's here. This is weird. So he uses Heaven's Door on one of these specters, and when their face opens up, it's just the word death repeated over and over. Rohan is backing up further into the storage room, and yeah, he spies in greater detail the painting, and we get like a full page view of it. And before he can get even better look at it, the woman is crying because that little boy in the front of the group here is her child who drowned. She left him alone for just a moment to get stuff out of the car, and he drowned. And when she touches the boy, she drowns, and by drowns, I mean she inflates into a blimp-sized human water balloon.
And then she pops.
She
was so full of water that the room immediately floods.
Yeah. And, like, just before she completely, like, just dies and pops, she does say, I'm so happy to have seen you again, my angel, as water pours out of her eyes and her nostrils. Ugh.
Rohan is still backed into this corner with the painting behind him and all of these, whatever they are, in front of him. And suddenly the arms from the painting that are just like stretched out and bent in sort of like a strange reclining, beckoning pose aren't full black, and they aren't in the painting anymore. They are extending outward from it.
Yep.
And then the face follows, and then it's Nanase. She's in the painting. She is the painting.
She
and the painting have a relationship.
Yep. And there's a part where Nanase is, she's fully out of the painting, just standing in front of Rohan, and Rohan just says, "Oh hell!" And he is fearful for his life at this point. He's getting cornered by all these specters who have their arms outstretched like they're zombies that really want his brains. And he is trying to convince himself this is all his imagination and it's not real, as his grandmother grabs his arm and it begins to like shred and disintegrate, and his face starts to fall apart.
Well, before that, a hand, I think it's Nanase's hand, just lightly touches Rohan on the palm.
Yes.
I'm not sure what is happening. I've read this 3 times. I'm not sure what all is happening in here, but that moment is important for my theory on what is happening here.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, Rohan is now being touched all over, and wherever he is, his body is just disintegrating and falling apart. Nanase once again asks for forgiveness, saying that, she had no other choice. His hatred had to emerge. And as Rohan is overwhelmed, he has a moment of insight. It's just a flash of thought.
Yep.
That, everybody here, all of these figures are like ancestors and kin of the people who came down.
Yep.
And they're visiting their pain and their hatred and like the regrets of their deaths on the living. So I have to break the ties that bind me to family. I have to erase all of my memories.
Yes, he uses Heaven's Door and just writes erase all my memory on his face. By the way, I really like the way him using Heaven's Door in this story is a little different, like in how it's executed, because before it's just like Heaven's Door in part 4 would just do like a big punch rush and then pages would open or Heaven's Door wouldn't even appear. Here, Heaven's Door has its index and middle finger extended with the rest of his fingers closed, and essentially does like a cutting motion at stuff. Like you see like a razor sharp swipe go across stuff, and wherever that touches, that's where a page like gets sliced open on something, and it's really cool.
It's very good. It's very good. But, I mean, in order to write, Rohan needs a pen, right? No. He's reached out and scraped a bit of this ultra black pigment off of the painting onto his finger.
Yes.
And with finger smudges, he writes, erase all my memory around his eyeball.
Yep. And so as his memories become erased, he becomes bathed in just a bright white light, and everything, like all the specters around him, like get bathed in this and almost appear to be repelled by it. It's a really great full page panel of Rohan like posing all sexy and vulnerable on the ground as these specters are repelled by this brilliant light. And they're gone, and Rohan is just a gasping, helpless man who doesn't know what the fuck is happening.
My favorite thing from this next sequence is that, okay, when Rohan wrote erase all my memory on his face, it was around in between the margins of a lot of writing, you know, his own book. But now it's blank. The only thing in there is erase all my memory because it all got erased.
Yeah. Rohan is just crawling, pulling himself up these stairs as many panels reveal that there are tons of spider webs everywhere with these peculiar little black spiders all over them.
And as these spiders and spider webs appear, the painting is much less black. Only about a third of it is painted now, whereas before it was something like 80% covered in this pigment.
Yep. As Rohan is crawling up the stairs, you eventually see something like some of his skin on the top of one of his hands has been pulled back, and written on there is "rub these words on your face." And Rohan just sees that, is very confused, and he rubs those words on his face, therefore erasing the words "erase all my memory," and he restores his memory. Damn. Wild.
So defeated, all these spiders rush back, crawling along their webs, and crawl back into the painting, reassembling the painting from which they came. And we start to get, again, Rohan's big summary of what happened and what it all means.
Yes. So the pigment that Zaimon extracted from that 1,000-year-old tree is ancient spiders.
Yes. Cosmic horror spiders from the dawn of time were trapped in that ancient trunk.
Yes.
And that is the pigment that he painted with.
Yep.
And so when he was executed, the hatred born of that execution then fed into these horror spiders and charged them with, like, killing people, doing evil things.
It was a hatred contained within these spiders that yearn to be let out and do hatred onto others. I don't know, but
so whenever the painting felt like the heat and the breath of the living nearby, it'd come out and visit upon people ancestral memories and like the pain of their deaths and their regrets.
Yeah. And this would, essentially make you hallucinate seeing all this crazy shit and also make you die for real.
Speaking of deaths and regrets, he left behind a young widow named Nanase. Nanase Kishibe. Who is somebody's great aunt, I guess? Some number of generations?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't say, like, she had a kid. It said after her husband was executed, she got sick and died real quick.
Yes, not Nanase, a distant ancestor of Rohan here. And Rohan begins to wonder, why did... what was Nanase trying to do this entire time? And he believes that Nanase's intention was to forever seal away the like curse that her husband had put on this painting, essentially. And that's one of the reasons why she like started cutting up those drawings Rohan had made that included her.
I like the idea that she was worried that if she was locked in Rohan's art, she wouldn't be her spirit wouldn't be there when Rohan needed her to help with the painting.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why she became so visibly angry about her being drawn in things. And yeah, it's Rohan essentially. We get a very brief epilogue here where Rohan basically says that, hey, so no one knows the truth about what the fuck happened here. This painting did eventually get investigated by a whole lot of scientists, and then, after examination, it was burned.
At least that's what they say. He's not so sure.
Yeah.
Also, the 4 people that died are still officially listed missing.
Yup. Now with the painting burned, Rohan's just like, damn, guess I'll never know. And he just walks off. And that's the end.
Not many series have someone peeping on their ancestor bathing twice.
Yeah.
Imagine if Rohan fist pumped and said, "Nice."
Oh, no. That's only Joseph can do that. That's a Joseph thing.
Okuyasu's like, hey, Rohan, I want to date your ghost ancestor. Come on.
Come on. Everyone keeps getting girlfriends but me.
My big baseball-faced boy.
Yeah, that's Rohan at the Louvre. I like this one.
This is great. I mean, comparing it visually to, okay, I have got to admit, I don't think I've seen any panels from, Araki's 2009 work, but I'm willing to bet that these are distinct, and you could tell one from the other just because of the format, right? Like, a manga drawn for like magazine publication and tankobons is going to be just from its foundations different from pages drawn for large scale display on a gallery wall.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, this is only my second time reading it, but it's a book I constantly remember I have in my shelf, and I'm just like, yeah, that's a really cool one.
But like looking at comic art over the years, when people draw that history and the way things change, so much attention is given toward shifting tastes and like really popular artists that either influence, consumer taste or the artists that come after them. And I think people forget about the realities of production. Like, like the reason that so many comic books end their sentences in exclamation points is because it printed better than periods for a very, very long time.
Yep.
Things were drawn with, heavy lines back when it was meant to be printed on newsprint that, bled more than a Tarantino character. Like,
yeah.
And then as paper stock and printing techniques change, that's what brings the real revolutions in art. Not like we were all just waiting for Brian Boland to be born. No, we were waiting for 4-color printing to go out of style. You can also look at the huge aesthetic shift in anime, because we're technically an anime show.
Yep.
Between like painted cells and digital coloring, because back before you had literally every RGB value possible available at any given time, there were color budgets. The people writing the checks and the art director of a show would have to sit down and negotiate how many colors of ink and paint are going to be purchased for this production.
Yeah.
So you better plan your tones and your palettes wisely.
Yeah. And even just the shift just from cell to digital too is also a huge thing. Like it's, well, I understand why people really, really like the look of cell-based animation. Like that shit was so fucking expensive. Cell-based animation is really expensive. Like there's a reason why no one goes back and does that. And also just production-wise, digital's a lot faster.
Just using digital tools to approximate the look as best you can.
With going to digital stuff, too, it's just like, while there is a look to that stuff, like, there's just a lot more you can do now with that, and I feel we're at a point now where there's a decent amount of anime there that is pretty different looking from the norm, thanks to digital stuff too. So
yeah, I mean, look at early Part 4. look at early Diamond is Unbreakable.
Yep. Yeah.
You could not do what Koichi's living room turns into in the Lock episode.
Yeah, imagine
with ink and paint. You can't.
Yeah, just imagine trying. It's impossible. Or if you did, it would have to be some really insane, like, transparency shit you're doing, and that takes forever. I'm imagining something like a Part 4 being animated OVA style, and if they try to do any of the, like, psychedelic, like, crazier effects that this part does, I would love to know what type of processes they would even try to do to approximate that. It'd be like how the early HBO title cards were made and stuff, and like all those like early, like not digital but early special effects were done for title cards and stuff, like in the 80s, where it was just layers and layers of stuff and
slit scan tunnels and like pointing a camera at a monitor showing the same feed but out of phase to make weird bubbles and shit.
Yeah. That would be a cool look, but also very work intensive. I think one of the reasons why I have been so drawn to JoJo is not just because of the main parts, but I just really like whenever Araki goes off to do weird spin-off things or this thing, which I think is just... I enjoy the story itself and the art, but just going like, this was made for the fucking Louvre is just like a fun thing. That's cool. Hey guys, I'm holding a piece of art and people explode in it. Hell yeah, this is art.
Storage Area 213 is where they keep Jesus's genealogy.
Yeah. I don't think we mentioned it on the podcast yet, but I linked you to it. But there are some other weird Rohan spin-offs. There is one made for Gucci, the fashion brand.
I think there are two made for Gucci.
Yeah, there's actually two, with the second story not being about Rohan, but rather a combination of part 6 and 5 characters. Yeah, the first one is about Rohan investigating his grandma's mysterious Gucci purse. I'm sure it's haunted and kills people, but... Okay,
after reading this story, I do not buy that Rohan's grandmother owns a Gucci purse.
Yeah, maybe it's
absolutely not. Maybe she got it as a present that she hates, but no.
Yeah, maybe it's his other grandmother.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Maybe it's that. But yeah, I really like these one-shots. If Araki ever got too old and tired to do weekly manga stuff, I would be absolutely okay with him just doing one-shots every once in a while, because they're fun, and he gives even less of a shit than when he's doing a main part. Just fucking whatever, dude.
If it weren't for Rohan in these stories, we wouldn't be talking about them, right? Like, we're not talking about Bao, we're not talking about Gorgeous Irene. Rohan is what puts these stories under our jurisdiction.
Yeah.
But Rohan is so much not really a part of these stories.
Yeah, he's just the vehicle to get the story to you.
What if Rod Serling was like in the action a little more often?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
This one, some of this stuff reminds me a little bit of the Twilight Zone, especially this one. God, imagine a Twilight Zone style show, but it's just hosted by Rohan, and he's just being a dick the whole time.
I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss him in the way that, like, when your favorite wrestling heel leaves the promotion, you know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss being angry at that guy.
It's such a fine line the character of Rohan rides, and there has never been like a single time where he's gone over that line yet, somehow. I love it.
And like seeing that he used to be nicer. There was a capacity for him to grow up and be a cool, likable guy. And resisting the temptation to say that some great tragedy affected him and he has some dark trauma. Like, I mean, maybe the reason that he is so quick to read everybody on first glance is because the time he didn't, he's left with unanswered questions that still burn after 10 years. But that's not quite the same thing, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if I ever need like an origin story on why Rohan is the way he is, but it's really fun to think about. In this story, when he was in the flashback parts where he's 17, he shows a level of respect for a person I did not think he was capable of. Like, straight up going like, no, this is an invasion of privacy. I should not do this to this woman. And like, that is not something he would do these days.
And being self-conscious about his work.
Yeah.
Is also so strange. Like, yeah, I'm going to leave finished pages in an envelope as a trap because they're irresistible to everyone. I am the great Rohan. Like, that guy is not who he was at 17.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe it's just the corrupting power of becoming the world's best mangaka. It's just, he knows he's hot shit, and now he doesn't have to care about society.
He's certainly the world's best signature artist. I don't think anyone could deny that.
Yeah, he should go on a talent show and do that. But yeah, that is the last little spin-off thing we're going to be doing for a bit here, because I think now we're just going to be moving on into part 5, yeah?
2 weeks from today, that's right, we're taking another quick skip 1 week break in order to... I've got plans.
Yep.
Basically, let me level with you. I never want to have to take a break in the middle of a part. That is the reason we're taking short breaks in between things. Is because I never want that to happen when we are in the middle of part 5, Golden Wind.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
I'm very interested to watch this part again. I've only seen it once. I'm going to be very curious what it's going to be like when it's not one episode at a time, week by week, and with an English dub, because I was watching it, live, and it was on Crunchyroll, and I feel like their subtitles at times weren't the greatest at like communicating what was happening or what people were aiming to do and stuff. So I think with an English dub, I may come to like this part a bit more, but it's a very interesting part for sure.
And we are going to be back in 2 weeks' time. That is April 25th. Mark your calendars.
Oh, man. Right before my
talking
birthday.
about, do you want to just do the first 2? Do you want to learn our lesson from last time?
Yes, let's just do the first 2, for sure.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot to go over again, so yeah.
So that's going to be episode 1, Gold Experience, and episode 2, Bucciarati is coming.
Yep, he sure is.
It's a good thing there's no French in this book, despite them being in France, because it'd be terrible. But
yep.
I sound sexy as hell when I speak Italian.
Yep, there's gonna be quite a lot of Italian coming up. But yeah, until then, let your friends know about this show. Maybe they've heard about JoJo and they're just too intimidated by it. It's a long, big thing, but the parts make it a lot more digestible than a lot of other stuff, I think.
That's true. That's true. And we are here to hold your hand, to say, yes, that really happened. And to also offer our own perspectives on why and what we think about that.
Yeah. What does it mean when that squirrel chews through a Nazi's chest?
It means I need to stand up and take a walk around the block. But today, April the 11th, this is not the only podcast you're going to hear us on. Because you can check us out on a bonus-ode for the Just King Things podcast from the Range Touch Network, where they read through the books of Stephen King in publication order, and their monthly bonus episodes are the various filmed adaptations of of the such same novels. So we are talking with them about the film Thinner.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to watch Thinner for a second time. That movie's wild.
So just by coincidence, this and that episode are going up at the same time. You can find that as a Patreon exclusive for Range Touch Patreon members. I am one because I really like the Just King Things bonus. And if you like this show, you're probably going to like that one, especially their bonus ode on The Mangler, which is, boy.
I love, that's a weird movie. It's been a while since I've seen The Mangler, but isn't there a haunted fridge?
There's a haunted fridge
There's
in
a
The
haunted
Mangler.
fridge. Yeah. Just kind of sitting outside, and I think a child gets eaten by it or something. Something like that. Go watch The Mangler if you can find it.
Don't watch Maximum Overdrive.
it's an experience. I'm a big fan of like just the ending of that movie, just explaining everything in text on screen. That's just the trucks were angry because of a Russian satellite and it got shut down or shot down. Was it a Russian satellite or was it just an alien satellite? I forget. But the trucks got angry because of that.
It's not clear if it's Russians or aliens.
Okay. That's oh boy. But yeah, until next time when we start part 5. See you later.
To be continued.